Okay, so our first combat was resolved, and as expected the results were terrible. So what you do now, the civilians are actually inactive at the beginning of the game. They are turned 180 degrees to signify that they are inactive. So since they were in a fight, they become active, and they will now take hits. The civilian units can take 4 hits. They can take a hit on their strong side, and then the second hit will flip them to their weak side, and then they can take a hit on their weak side, and the fourth hit kills them. So since we took 2 hits, the civilians are flipped to their weak side, and not only that, we have to retreat. So we have to retreat towards our town center from Lefty's Pass, towards the next section of the track. And now, since the refugees are left alone and this was actually an attack with zombies, I think that they are also made active. They are as well defiantly staying in their village, so they are also inactive at the beginning of the game. They become active when they are left alone with the zombies in their respective village. So then you flip them over to the refugee side, and now they begin to flee. They get 1 free movement when they become active. They start to flee. So they will follow our civilians to the next part of the track towards the town center. The refugees always move toward the town center. You cannot move them backwards. You have to move forward. And that was kind of bad. The first thing that happens is our civilians are severely wounded, and we immediately have refugees. But on the bright side, we don't have that many Zeds on the board, so maybe we can save these refugees before the Zeds start to attack. Okay, so that was actually just the special event that happened before the Z phase takes place. And this fate card that we drew was actually a good one. It was a useful card for us. The fate cards will either say hold this card or play this card. If they say play this card, you have to immediately play it. But we can actually keep this card. There's a lot of text here, but basically what it says, if I have 3+ heroes, I can make 2 of them best buddies, and they can move together. They take all their other actions separately, but they can move together, and they can also form a stack. Normally you only get 1 unit per section of the map. So 2 civilian units, a hero and a civilian units, or 2 heroes cannot normally occupy the same space. But with this card they are considered a stack, and they actually fight together. Or they actually move together. So that's kind of useful, since you can move them around with 1 action point. And in addition to that, they also get a third, whenever they do a special roll. So when you do normal actions, you only get 1 die. But when you do special actions, like for instance Mr. Johnson, who is a really good scavenger, he uses 2 dice to perform his scavenge actions. So he gets a special roll. When he does that, if he's stacked with someone else, that person can aid Mr. Johnson 1 time during a turn and give him an extra die, a 3rd die that you can use, and then you can pick and choose 2 of those 3 that you want to use. So that's really helpful, and I think that I will immediately do this, and I will actually, I think I will actually pair Mr. Johnson and the sheriff. So I will, mark this by placing the fate card between them down here. So I will pair as you can see down here at the left corner, I will pair Mr. Johnson and the Sheriff Hunt so that they can move together. And I think what my course of action here is to get Mr. Johnson over to the mine. The different spots on the map give you different foraging options. The mine gives you the best chance of finding ammo, and you really need ammo, and this is probably what the main focus should be during the first turns of the game. You should try and find as much ammo as possible, because there are not that many Zeds on the board and you don't have to defend that many places. So I think my first order of business when I get to my action phase would be to move Mr. Johnson over to the mine. Okay, so that is that's the special event of this event card. So now we get to move the Zeds, and you can see there's a blue shield icon and a kind of a blue rectangle or a white rectangle with a line, and that is the tunnel. This is the highway. The blue marker is the highway marker, and the white marker is the tunnel marker. So we have Z movement in highway and in the tunnel. So these guys will now move one space towards city center. The Zeds, normal Zeds, only move one space per movement. The other super Zeds that are fast can move up to 2, and the leapers can actually jump 2 spaces. But that is the Zeds part of the event card in question. So the AI is done, and now we get to take our actions, and we only get to take 2 actions this turn, which is really bad. It would be great to have more actions during these first turns, but okay, we did get a beneficial fate card for this, even though our civilians are severely wounded on one track of the game. But for my 2 actions, I already talked a bit about this. I will actually, I don't know if I should stack them. Well, I think I should. That gives me the best chance of getting more ammo. So I will stack the Sheriff and Mr. Johnson, and I will move them. The heroes can move up to 4 spaces, except if they are fast, like Captain Plaza, for example. She's fast, so she can move 5 spaces. But like I said, friendly units cannot occupy the same space as another friendly unit, and if I were to move 4 spaces right now, I would end up with our wounded civilians, and that is not possible. The refugees do not count. They can occupy the same space as any unit except Zeds. Then they are killed if they are alone with Zeds. But I will move. I took Captain Plaza instead of Mr. Johnson here. So I will move Mr. Johnson and the Sheriff to the campground here, which is 3 spaces from the town center. That's 1, 2, 3. So that will be my first action. I should probably show that I had 2 actions here, and then I move them with one of the actions. Each friendly unit only gets 1 movement per turn, so you cannot move them again. So they are stuck where they are right now. For my second action, well, that was stupid, but okay. Basically, what I mean by that is that Sheriff Hunt has this special ability that he can order a civilian to take a free action, but we can still do that because we are next to a civilian. He could have done that in the town center where we start with 2 civilians. And I actually think that this is too far zoomed out, so I will zoom in. You will have to live without being able to see my die rolls, but I think this will actually help the playthrough a lot by showing the entire map instead of or by showing the zoomed in map, so you can keep track on the different units. It's kind of hard to see when you are that far zoomed out. So I will, for my free action, before I forget it, I will actually order these civilians to take a foraging action. And when you forage, take a look at that on the sequence of play sheet. This is the foraging table here. You get to roll one die, and depending on the results and where you are on the map, you can gain supply or ammo. The village, town or town centers can give you either a supply for a roll of 4 and 5 or a supply or ammo for a roll of 6. The farm can give you 1 supply, or if you roll a 6 you can get 2 supplies. Mine and security guard post can give you 1 or 2 ammo, and the other namespaces give you 1 supply no matter what you roll. And immediately I see the problem. The civilians are not on a named space, so they cannot forage at all. So that was a wasted free action, and I will not go back and do it, even though it would be pretty easy. I think it's healthy to actually make a bunch of mistakes when you're playing, because that will keep you on your toes for later turns, I hope. So yeah, that was my first action. I still have 1 action left to take, and I don't actually know what to do with this second action. These Zeds are fairly strong down here, so maybe I should build a barricade. My civilians are also really strong here, so that would be a pretty good idea to actually have to block this area off, building a barricade, keeping the Zeds from coming in too close into the town area. So I think I will do that, and to build a barricade, can take a look again. Building a barricade actually costs as a actually not costs, but it's a move action basically. So you cannot move and build barricade. You use your movement point for the turn. Remember, each friendly unit has 1 movement per turn, so you use your movement point to build a barricade instead of moving. And to build a barricade you have to pay 2 supplies. There's a limit of 1 barricade per track, so you can only have 1 barricade on the forest track, 1 barricade on the mountain track, and so on. Let's see, the camera keeps zooming in when I bring something next to it. But I will do this. I will adjust my supplies from 8 to 6, and I will build a barricade down here. These come in the new edition. These come with some small stands that you can place on the map, so you can actually see them better. And on the back of them it says cannot move. Remove if Zeds leave space. So that means that this barricade will stay on the board until a Z unit moves through this area. It doesn't. It's not enough that they enter the area. They have to move through the area to actually remove the barricade themselves. And my civilians are now pinned down. They cannot move away. Okay, so that was the first turn. It was okay, I guess. Nothing special. But I will be back with the next turn. Alright, so we are back with the second turn, ready to see what these pesky, mindless creatures can come up with next. And I should probably comment on how the event card stack is prepared. There is a defined sequence on how you prepare the stacks for the different scenarios. Just so to spread out the bad cards so that they do not pile up when you draw new event cards. And actually for this particular scenario, the first 3 event cards are supposed to be somewhat beneficial. They are blue up here. So there are green, blue, yellow, orange and red event cards. The red are extremely dangerous, and the green and the blue ones are supposed to be somewhat beneficial or not that dangerous. So that's why these first few turns should be sort of kind of easy to get through, but you never know. The Zeds are not smart, but they are plentiful, so yeah, anything can happen. So let's go ahead with drawing the next event card here, and here we have it. It's research materials, triple R, movement 1. So we get to move our refugees one space, and I will do that. I will move our refugees up here one space closer to the town center where they can get rescued. And then we have outbreak 5+. We have only had one fight, so the infection level is still at 1. I've decided to use this zoom in angle for showing off the board, because now you can see the infection levels, supplies, research and such up there, as well as see the entire board down here. I hope that this does show enough of the board and is enough zoomed in that you can actually see what the different counters represent. So no outbreak. Consume supplies, no. So that was a definite answer. What the hell is that? Are they surfing? Yeah, they're looking up something on Google, and there's a bunch of blood on the picture there. That's pretty gruesome. Anyway, the Zeds move on the green shield, which is the forest track. So we have movement of Zeds up here, so they will move closer to the town space. And then we have actions 3, and as you can see, the 3 is in a black bordered circle, so that means that a special event will take place during this phase of the event card. And that event is if a friendly unit ends the action phase in the nuclear plant space, increase the research level by 1. And that was what I was talking about earlier. These first 3 events are kind of beneficial to the players, giving them a head start before all hell breaks loose, and all hell will break loose pretty shortly, I should think. The nuclear plant is down here, so we could actually move with 1 hero down here. The heroes can move 4 spaces, and they have enough movement points to actually get to the nuclear plant, so we should probably do this. We also get 3 action for the turn, so I will move the action marker to the 3rd spot to indicate this, and now this event is resolved. There were no fighting, and we get to take our 3 actions. So let's see here. I will definitely go down there and gather that valuable research point. So I think that Captain Plaza, our sniper, will take the first action. So I will move the player action token here to signify that I've taken an action, and I will move her down to the nuclear plant, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So she's now stationed at the nuclear power plant, and at the end of the action phase we will get that free research. For my second action, I will actually move my 2 stacked heroes here, the best buddies, and they also get to move 4 spaces, so I will move them 1, 2, 3 spaces to the mine. And now they are adjacent to a Zeds unit, as you can see here. This is pretty dangerous. The heroes, even though they are pretty powerful, they can shoot guns and they can move around fast, they are fragile. They only absorb 2 hits, or they can only take 2 hits before they die. So they become wounded and then they die. They are by far the weakest units on the board. The civilians are actually stronger than the heroes in hand to hand, which does make sense, since the civilians are supposed to represent a mob of civilians, and the heroes are just one person. So yeah, you should always be careful when engaging in hand-to-hand combat with the Zeds with a hero. So I think to combat this, to actually try and bring those Zeds down to a manageable level, I will use my last action instead of the more beneficial action for this turn would actually be to search the mine, since I can roll 3 dice, since they are buddies and they get to roll a third dice. That would actually increase my ammo capacity, so that would be the best action to take. But the Zeds are too close and I'm too scared of them. I really don't want to start losing heroes, because it can easily happen. If the Zeds are attacking multiple heroes, you can easily lose all of them, and then you are kind of stuck with civilians and they move slowly around the map. So instead of that, I will actually use my last action, pay 1 ammo, and shoot at the Zeds with the Sheriff. And Sheriff Hunt has a he has a strength value of 5, as you can see here, and that's what we use for his ranged attack. He can also shoot a bit further with the long ranged attack, but the zombie is, or the Z unit is adjacent, so we don't have to actually shoot at long range. We can shoot at normal gunfire range. So he will attack, and for this we use the gunfire table here. So we would use the number 5 column, because he has a value of 5. So I will roll the dice, and that's a 7. So we go to 7 here and to the 5th column, which means 2 hits on the Z unit. And yeah, I'm thinking of re-rolling that, or adding that 1 die, and actually it's probably smart to do that, since I can't do anything else with that particular effect. Because if I roll more than 7, and I can actually do that because I rolled a 6 and a 1, as you can see here, so I could add another die to this and replace the 1. If I roll more than 7, I can actually bring the Zeds down to their wounded state. This attack alone would only hit them for 2 hits, and that's not enough to kill them. We can quickly take a look at that, looking at the player aid. This is the Are They Dead Yet section of the player aid. This is for Zeds. Here they are at full strength. They take 1 hit, 2 hits, and then on the 3rd hit they are flipped and wounded. And then they can take 2 additional hits, and then on the 6th hit they are dead. This is I mean, I don't know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something, and then I kind of forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, this section of the player aid is pretty useful in the beginning, because these are kind of hard to find, all these different hits for units. As you can see here, for the heroes they only take 2 hits. For the civilian units they can take 4 hits before they die, and zombies are kind of tough. There are a bunch of them in each of these, or every counter represents a zombie mob, so to speak. Well, I shouldn't say zombie mob, because zombie mob is something different in the game. It actually exists in the game. That's when different or 2 zombie units are actually in the same place. But they represent a bunch of zombies, and they take 6 hits to hit. So I will actually use the special ability on my fate card that I drew earlier, and I could actually just re-roll this instead of adding another die to the mixture. So let's see. Yes, it's actually a 3. So now my combat is my gunfire value is 9, and if we take a look here at 8 and 9, on the 5th column it says 3 hits, and that would flip the zombies to their weakened state. Now they still are almost as strong, they only went down to 2, but it's a bit better for hand-to-hand combat in case this zombie unit moves into the mine the following turn. Okay, so that was actually the entire turn, so let's move on. There are 44 event cards in this scenario, and you have to get through all of them to complete the scenario. So once we start rolling, this should probably go a bit faster, but I like to explain when encountering something for the first time. I actually like to talk a little bit about it, and also it reminds me about the rules for that particular event or whatever. So let's move on here. We have this is the new event card. It says supply room discovered, triple R movement 0, outbreak no, consume supplies no, Zeds, they move in the highway area, and that's bad. So we have to do this before we move on. So we will move the Zeds here, and they will actually attack the civilians, which will now become active. So this fight will happen before we do anything else on this event card. The first thing that happens when Zeds attack, Zeds hand-to-hand combat starts, is that the infection level goes up by 1. Sometimes it will go up by 2 or even more, depending on the event or what's happening during that specific turn. But this time it's only by 1, and the Zeds have a strength value of 4, my civilians have a value of 3, so that means that the Zeds are greater than my civilians, so we would be using the greater than column, which is pretty bad, but my civilians are defending a village, which is a semi-fortified location, so they get to actually shift this value in their favor, shift it down by 1, so this brings it down to equal to column, which is still pretty dangerous. You should always aim to be under or less than equal, because that favors you. The Zeds in this game have major advantage. Every time you have to fight with them, you should actually try and get as much value from those fights as possible. If you think that fighting at equal level will, or if you kind of imagine in normal games, I'll say that I don't think this game is actually normal difficulty. Whatever you do with it, it's pretty tough, pretty difficult game. So you really want to give yourself as much of an advantage as possible. And I should probably have built barricades down there, but I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. There are too few actions so far, and I have to do other things. I have to basically either protect my heroes or protect the civilians. So I chose to protect my heroes for this or for the last turn. So okay, now we move on to the combat. We have established that the Zeds and the civilians will be fighting on equal terms, and we will roll the dice here. That's an 8, which is pretty bad. It's terrible actually. We take a look here at the 8 space, and we go to the equal to column, and it's a black 1 and a red 2. So the zombies or the Zeds take 1 damage, and my civilians take 2 damage, and they have lost this battle. So my civilians are flipped to their wounded side, they have to retreat. My villagers become refugees and they move on, and the zombies will take 1 hit, and that is represented by adding these reminder tokens on them. One side says 1 dead Zed, and the other side says 2 dead Zeds. once they have received 3 hits, they will be flipped to their weaker side, and you remove this token unless they receive additional hits, and then you can add as many as of those that they have received. So they will be taking one of those hits, 1 dead Zed, and since this is a named space, this is actually a village, a pretty important area of the game, there will be chaos there. They have now taken over Ingberg, and now the entire area there is in chaos. This happens all over the map as long as zombies control a named area or a village or some sort. You will add a chaos token, or you will add a chaos token to that area. And these are pretty important to keep off board, because some event cards actually reference these, and they say for every 2 chaos tokens add 1 extra Z, or something bad happens, or whatever. So these are pretty important to keep off the map. Also, if you move into an area that's in chaos, you immediately take 1 infection levels. And the refugees, I think the refugees actually can't move through chaos areas, so you have to clear them off before they can move. And I just remembered, I actually forgot here, I should have gotten 1 extra research for Captain Plaza. I had this event card, the first event card. No, that was the... Wait, was it the first event card? No, it was the last event card. That's right. It was this research materials. If I end the action phase in nuclear plant space, I get 1 research level. Well, I actually did this. I only forgot to add the research level in question, so I think it's fine for me to increase my research level. This is different from when I moved off with the sheriff, because there I actually forgot entirely to do the move, but this time I actually did the move, I just forgot to add the research level. So I think I will be doing this. I will increase my research level, and I think I have to devise some strategy for keeping these after turn effects somewhere, so I can see that I need to actually take an action or add something to the board. But that's for later turns, I think. So we are now done with the Zeds phase, the Zeds movement and attacks. We go down to our phase, the action phase, and this is another one of those, which is why I just remembered that I had forgotten to add the research. But this one says, if a friendly unit ends the action phase in the mall district space, receive 4 supply points. This is great. Mall district is just up here, so that's just 1 movement. We can send up a civilian or something up there, and we will get extra supplies, which is terrific. We really do need these things, and I will actually put it on top of the event card stack to remind me that this needs to happen, if that I need to check if I had actually done this. I don't really know if I can afford spending an action point doing this, but I think it would be a good idea. In any case, we do get 3 actions available to us. I think our... Well, yeah, this is kind of dangerous. These Zeds down here, they are in danger of moving into this space here and targeting my civilians again. And this time the civilians can only withstand 1 hit before they are killed. And if they are killed and there is no refugee movement, my refugees would actually die. So, I don't know, in order to protect them, I either need to move them or attack with Captain Plaza, which is down here. She can offer support to these civilians and actually attack with her sniper rifle at max capacity at the Zeds center down at Ingeborg. The other option I have is to again attack with the two heroes up here, or forage and loot with them. I have fortified one position on the map here, so I'm not that worried about the suburbs track. However, the forest track is pretty weak, so I might think about doing something there, but the zombies are two moves away, so maybe it's fine, maybe I can leave it as is. So I think for my first action I will actually use one of my ammos, one of my ammo points, and try and attack with Captain Plaza at the zombie station at Ingberg. If we take a look at her card, this is for her gunfire value. If she's 3 spaces away, she gets a value of 3. If she's 2 spaces away, which is the case here, she is 1-2 spaces away from the zombies, she will get her maximum value of 4. So she's really good at attacking from a distance from 2 spaces away. And then if she's adjacent, she only gets a value of 2. Okay, so I've spent my action point and my ammo, and I will be rolling for the attack. And that's a 9. You can see there, a 6 and a 3. And we take a look at the gunfire table here. 8 to 9 on the 4 track. It says 2 hits. So okay, the zombies will take 2 hits. They already have 1 hit on them. So this will do another hit, bring it to do 2 dead Zeds, and then the second hit would actually flip them to their weakened state, which is great, because now I think my civilians, well, they would still be at equal terms, but they have a chance at defending those refugees. Even if the civilians die, and if they manage to kill the zombies, the refugees would be safe. So I think I could chance that happening. But for my second action, I will try to shoot here again. I think it's fairly important to actually get rid of that guy as well, so we can start looting as soon as possible. So I will again have to lose 1 ammo point, bringing me down to 5 ammunition. I've already spent 1 action, and I will now attack with Sheriff Hunt, which has a gunfire value of 5. And that's an 8, which is pretty good. It's double 4. I could use their buddy special ability to reroll, but I don't think double 4 is that bad. So that's an 8 on the 5th column. So an 8 is 3 hits, which would kill this zombie unit off, and they go back to the zombie cup here. Okay, we now have 1 action left to spend on something, and I don't know. I'm tempted by looting up here or foraging for more ammo, but we do have 5 ammunition points. So maybe the safest, I think actually the safest action would be to move the refugees. I could shoot with Captain Plaza, but that does not, that's not certain that I can kill the zombies in question, and they could still have a chance at killing my civilians and killing the refugees in the process, which is really bad. So I think I will actually spend my last action point to move my refugees out of the way. Now I know that this could be this could be done. This could be a waste of an action point, because the next event card might actually say refugee movement of 1 or 2, and then I could have done this for free. But I think the chance of it being 0 and something bad happening, it's too great. I actually want to see my refugees survive, so I can re-equip my civilians once they reach the town center. Okay, I did place this supply room discovered card on the event deck, and since we did not have enough actions to actually do this, we will not be getting the supplies, which is a shame, but we are still at 6 supplies. I think that's decent. That's fine. We can forage for more. As long as I can move some civilian units next to the sheriff, he can actually order them to forage for free. So I think a good idea would be to move these civilians back to Lefty's Pass and reclaim my village. Oh yeah, there wasn't any Zeds unit in the Lefty's Pass after combat, so there is no chaos marker there. I thought that I had forgotten the chaos marker, but then I remembered that that was an attack from an event. So I will stop this video here and I will be back shortly.